Clearly, my computer did not like when I flipped it over, so sorry about that. Let's go ahead and actually start with number 1 this time. So just like we did in the example, the first thing we're going to do is multiply by whatever we have in that denominator. So we're going to multiply by the square root of 3 over the square root of 3. Combining our like terms, we are going to combine 18 and 3. So 18 times 3 is the square root of 54 over the square root of 9. Right away, I know the square root of 9 is 3. So that's the first thing I simplify. Now, here's going to be your absolute favorite part. We have to break down the square root of 54 by using our tree method. So I'm going to do 54 divided by 2 is 27. 27 breaks up into 3 and 9 breaks up into 3 and 3. So I see that I have a group of 3's that I can pull out, meaning that the 2 and the 3 stay in, so I have 6 inside. So my numerator is now 3 square roots of 6. For this problem, I've taken the radical out of the denominator. I've simplified as far as I can go as far as the radical goes, but now I need to be looking at my fraction. I have a 3 in the numerator, numerator and denominator, so those both simplify to 1. They are essentially no longer needed in the problem, and my final answer is just the square root of 6. Okie doke. Let's go ahead and move on to number 3. So skip number 2 for me. Number 3, we now have variables, but it is not changing how we solve the problem. Remember, if we have a fraction, what do we have to do in order to start simplifying the denominator and numerator separately? Okay, hopefully you said that we have to split up the radicals on the top and the bottom. Okay. And what I'm going to do first is I'm actually going to simplify whatever I can. And this is just an option. You do not have to do this. You could have even done it back in this step. We could have simplified if we the ends if we wanted to. So there are many, many ways to approach a problem is what I'm trying to have you guys see. So if I simplify, I'm going to do each part separately here. So I have 12n cubed under my radical. So I can split 12 into 2 and 6 and then 2 and 3, giving me a 2 on the outside. N cubed, remember, we have n to the first and n squared. N squared splits it up into n to the first and n to the first. So remember, with variables, we have to add the exponents. Okay, so my new numerator is 2n square root of 3 to the n. Okay, so this is just going back to what we already know. Now I'm going to do my denominator. So I have the square root of 5, n to the 5th. Square root of 5, that doesn't simplify because that's just 1 and 5. That doesn't make a group. So n to the 5th, I have n to the 1st and n to the 4th. So n to the 4th splits up into n squared and n squared. That's my group that comes out. So I now have n squared square root of 5n. Okay. If you have a question, pause the video, ask a partner, because I know whenever we introduce variables, we sometimes get a little thrown off, but you guys can do it. I believe in you. All right, so going back to our original problem, or our new problem here, we need to get that radical out of the denominator. So I'm multiplying the top and bottom by the square root of 5n. And I'm left with 2n square root of 15n n squared over n squared times square root of 25n squared because of the 5n times the 5n and the 3n times the 5n. So hopefully you see where those numbers under the radical came from. I am going to probably need more space, so I am going to go into number 5 a little bit, but I can erase it later when we get down to that point. All right, so moving on. The only thing I can pull out, because now I'm to the simplifying phase, the only thing I can pull out of this radical is my n squared. So I have 2n times n, remember the square root of n squared is n, and inside I still have just that 15. On the bottom I have that n squared that's in front. Square root of 25 is 5. Square root of n squared is n. Whoa, sorry about that. Okay. Continuing to simplify, putting like terms together. In the numerator, I have two n's together there being multiplied. So I have 2n squared, square root of 15. And in the denominator, I have an n squared and an n that can be put together. So that is n cubed with that 5 in front. And oh my gosh, this ended up being a longer problem than I thought. That is okay though. Now let's go ahead and simplify our n's top bottom. So I end up with 2 square root of 15 over 5n. And that is your final answer for number 3. If you need to watch that one again, rewind the video and replay it because there were a lot of steps. And again, there are so many ways you could have solved this problem. So if you'd like to try a different way, that is totally okay. All right, what I would like for you to do is pause the video, and I would like for you to please do number 2 by yourself. Okay, welcome back. I did move the screen down on purpose so that if you didn't pause the video, you still can. So if you have not paused the video, go ahead and do so still and finish up that problem. Okay, if you are here to check your answer, here is number 2 with my work. So the first thing I did was simplified square root of 8 in my denominator to 2 square roots of 2. I noticed I had a 2 on the numerator and denominator, so I canceled those out. Now I'm multiplying top and bottom by the square root of 2 over square root of 2 to get that square root of 12 over square root of 4. And now I'm in my simplifying phase. So I have the square root of 12 over 2. Square root of 12, my work's over here on the left. And that simplifies to 2 square roots of 3. And again, I had a 2 in my numerator and denominator, so it just left me with the square root of 3. All right, cool beans. We're going to do number 4 together, and you are going to do number 5 by yourself. Number 5 does have a variable, so it's going to challenge you, but that's a good challenge. So let's do 4 first as a team. You'll do 5 alone. So in number 4, there's a multiplication sign in the middle, so we are combining like terms only. Remember, an integer and a radical are not like terms. So for number 4, multiplying straight across, I have 5 square root of 4 over 6 square root of 3. I don't know if you're noticing what I'm noticing, but what's a square root of 4? Hopefully you said 2. So my numerator, I have 5 times 2. My denominator, I have 6 square roots of 3. Okay, so continuing here to simplify, I have 10 over 6 square roots of 3. We need to get rid of that 3 in the denominator. So we're multiplying by the square root of 3 on the top and the bottom. Notice I never take the number that's in front of it with it because you only have to get rid of the square root. Okay? So in my numerator, I have 10 square root of 3 over 6 square root of 9. So continuing again to simplify, so I have 10 square roots of 3 over 6 times 3. And if you see right away what the answer is going to be, then just answer it. You don't have to do all these steps that I'm doing, okay? Obviously, show your work as much as needed and necessary. However, if you can see that the 10 and the 6 are going to simplify by 2, go ahead and simplify that right away. I'm going to continue kind of showing it all out though, since these are the notes. So I have 10 square root of 3 over 18. Now I will simplify the top and bottom by 2. So I'm left with 5 and 9. And so my final answer is 5 square roots of 3 over 9. Okay, remember that the 3 and the 9 do not simplify because they are not like terms. Alrighty, go ahead and do number 5 by yourself, combining like terms, get that radical out of the denominator, and pause the video. I'll have the answer when you come back. All right, here's the answer for number 5, 9 square root of 10x over 4x. And again, here's all of my work showing what I did. Okay, and if you have a question and you don't understand how I got this answer, again, ask a partner. But guys, that's the notes. There you go. There you have it. That is it for rationalizing the denominator. So before I let you go, on your playlist, you have successfully completed the first step of the must-dos. So you've watched the video, well, videos because I struggled, so this might look slightly different. And then now I need you to take the formative. After the formative, you will move on to the may-dos. If you scored a 0 or 1 out of 3, you are going to work on that first column, and if you scored 2 or 3 out of 3, then you will be in that second column. For the may-dos, remember, you are just moving through them in any order you would like. The answers have been posted on Google Classroom at this point for you as well in a separate post. And so each of these items are numbered. So number 3, number 1, number 2, number 4, number 5. Yes, I said them out of order because that's how I wrote them. All of those are papers, and they are in folders on the scratch paper desk numbered with those numbers. And when you go to check your answers, those are also numbered with the same numbers. So it's all matching up, okay? We are not sitting here and socializing with our friends. We are practicing this material. I do not mind if you work with a partner on these activities, but you need to be focused and you need to be working. All right, if you have any questions, ask the sub, ask a neighbor, and hopefully I'll see you in a little bit to check in. Adios.